I didn't actually realise that I had this spell. I think you get it when you touch that NPC in the chair, and I just didn't even penny to move the drop. But this is obviously the spell that you see from the like one of the gameplay trailers that was floating around, and it was just, you know, it is game changing, to be honest. Any enemy where you can pull off being static for a small amount of time, it's a huge payoff, and obviously it works really well with the like channeling flask setup that I was talking about in the previous video. But yeah, I'm playing Assassin's Creed. I'm not sure if this guy knows I'm here, or if he just came to that sound, like if that's part of his patrol route. I think he's come to investigate for the sound. Anyway, biding my time pays off. This is a combo, by the way. If an enemy isn't rapid, backstabbing into carrying Grandeur is absolutely a way to deal with them. But what an incredible bypass mechanic. Just raw power like that. I've really had a lot of time for these kinds of spells. Only made possible to be so strong by the use of those flasks. I am sure that there is probably already guides on like YouTube by now telling people how to do stuff like this, because I was able to figure it out pretty quickly, so I'm sure it'll be common knowledge now, and I'm sure they'll make sure that people won't be able to do that sort of thing in future Souls games. I'm sure they'll sap the fun out of it. But for me, it was a really great part of the game. I mean, all it meant was that you could, for a few seconds, channel an extremely powerful spell for a longer duration than what you could before. So think about the applications of that. If you're in a boss fight that's got 2 stages, and the first one is a piece of piss, and the second one is quite challenging, but there is a moment where you get a free opportunity to do a lot of damage in the second stage, what are you going to do? You're going to save your flask for that second stage, you're going to pop it when you can, and you'll do your ultimate move. I mean, it seems like a viable strategy to play the game that way, but you've still got to play the game to get it past the first phase, so you know, it's not like you can spam it for each phase. So you've got to basically like pick your battles. I think consumables should be used in this way, and I think by having these flasks where you can totally change up what they do to support, and the fact that they are renewable like your Estus, it's really added a big dimension to the game. You can see at this point, so I am trying to get all of the use out of this spell. But you know what? It's not actually that, like, you get so much damage off with it, but it's not that great if the boss switches back to you, because you've just got, you are trapped into the animations a bit. You want to be able to disengage. And I'm pretty sure that in the end I just stopped using it. I had a lot of fun trying to blitz it, but so close. Look at that. I think I was convinced that I would just be able to, at some stage, just totally nail it, 100 to 0. Because obviously it looks close, doesn't it? There you go, 70% in one single hit. It has all the hallmarks of this is one-shottable. You've just got to get the position just right, and he's got to do the right attack set for you to be able to pull it off. But yeah, ultimately, I think the way I get through it, yeah, it's just a switch too. But yeah, it's good for one opening attack. So I think this is another Crucible Knight, which again, very, very happy to just bypass that with raw power. I think that particular one actually respawned, so there's plenty of opportunities to fight him again. But yeah, it feels really good to take these real powerhouse spells and just blitz your way through some enemies that you know are real benchmarks of power. Because to be honest, a lot of the I mean, here you go. Here's another one. You know that these guys are really strong. You know what it takes to actually beat them in a fair 1v1 capacity. And this is just, I don't know, this is, when Comet started to hit really, really hard and started to chunk, it was all like, it felt like it was the wrong kind of spell to be dealing that amount of damage. This, you have to sacrifice your mobility, you have to channel, and then you have to sacrifice huge amounts of mana. So it takes a lot for it to get it to work. And in any capacity where the boss is actually attacking you, you're not going to be able to pull that off. So it feels fair when you actually like pull it out and manage to beam something that you've outpositioned. I mean, not every mob is actually all over you, so it's not necessarily always the case. But the ones where they have a little bit of a slow approach, there's no reason why you can't capitalise. It does feel good when you get it right. What's funny though is I get all of this power. I tried to 100 to 0 one of these, and a couple of times I successfully did it for the first one. And then the second one killed me anyway. And I kept thinking to myself, what spell is it that will be able to help me defeat these? But to be honest, it's like what was holding me back from these is just the fact that this guy has such a crazy attack pattern, and I'm just not sure how much I need to dodge. As soon as it, like, aggro switched, I was just there trying to go for the 100 to 0 quickly. And look at the damage I've done. So if I could just hang on, there you go. Made possible by the power of the spell though. And I've got, like, I don't even have any problem like using a spell like that for an encounter, because I think an encounter when you fight in two enemies, it's like, well, you've got to employ some trump card. You can't be fair 1v1 fighting like for the whole encounter, because you just don't have that option. So you've either got to blitz one at the start with everything you've got, and then fight the other one as normal, or fight the first one as normal as best you can, wear it down, and then blitz the second one. Dump your mana basically in whatever capacity you've got. But this little encounter, I was a little bit surprised at. I thought this was going to be a real actual boss fight, and then it just, I don't know, these NPC summons that just get brought in, they're none of them really that bad. Don't know, feels maybe a little bit rushed, and then it's like, okay, 3 at once. But none of their kits are particularly scary. look at the damage, man. Like, they're just like these kits are just not like there's been plenty of other regular enemies so far that have been way more challenging. Those two little skittering worm things that shoot out the needles from their backs, like, fighting 2 of those is worse than fighting the 3 of these. So I don't know what they're thinking, but again, like, I'm just sticking to the magic types where, I mean, my boy is tanking a bit there, and he was distracting me, but just sticking to the magic types that home in, and the AI has just got nothing for it. I mean, admittedly, you just seen then I wasn't taking that much damage. Oh, well, I say that, and then that guy just hits me once with his sword and I'm nearly dead. But yeah, their homing in magic doesn't seem to hit me so much. I think it's because I only got hit by like 2 skulls there.
There you are. I knew you would come. What is it you intend?
She knew I would come.
Deny us and our
She
ways,
knew it.
like the dogmatic brutes
I knew
of
it
the
too.
Golden Order.
That's right. No, of course I selected no, I want to be
I
held.
am the guardian of those who live in death. They
Ah,
call
to
me
be a degenerate.
foul and rotten witch. Yet you still wish to be held by me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's these sorts of moments that do make me feel like a bit of a gamer. It's like I could have executed this much worse, but it's like that enemy potentially could just give me so much more trouble, but I just, you know, thought about it before I engaged. Shame, shame everywhere else in this area gives me so much trouble. Feels bad that all of the headless guys are now working against me. You really get an appreciation for how tricky they can be when they start disappearing on you. It's not as bad as those mages that just disappear and then start casting at you out of nowhere, but yeah. I mean, you're still locked onto these. You can definitely tell that I've mainly played melee builds in previous Souls games because I'm always about the backstabs and getting up close. Being in the mid-range is fine, but you know, with some bosses you do find you get baited out for like a lot of these mid-range attacks that can be significantly challenging in their own, you know, their own regard. I think it's because they often just have to close the distance so quick. They come at you and you're not necessarily ready. Like that raw power again. Ah, yeah. So I saw this dress and I immediately thought, this is exactly the sort of thing that Black Magic would be playing the game start to finish in. Got away with a huge chunk of damage there. Nearly get myself killed right away. I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe the other one hasn't aggroed. I don't even think it does, you know. I think I'd get away and kill this one without it even being an issue. Which is mad, it just goes to show you that the way that they're programmed to engage is kind of weird. But yeah, already took care of one, so it's nice. I think I'd already, like, the way that I chose to engage these, I ran past them first, went, got the, what are they called? Like the bonfire, but yeah, what are they called? Is it like a campfire or something? I've forgotten anyway. But yeah, ran past it, sat down, and then just approached them from behind. It was a lot easier. You know, why would you fight through all of the enemies in front of them when you could just engage from behind? I don't remember much about Miranda, but I know that this Omen Killer type thing, like I encountered this first in like in the mountain area. So, you know. Oh, Miranda's just a fucking plant, that's why I remember. Yeah. So, you know, static target. I know it's just going to poison around it. You know, just give it one of these. There's a few encounters like that where they're just going to stand there and totally decimate them. I can't remember. I think by now I've destroyed the thing that's like shooting at me from there. So, yeah, this felt good. Look at that. Look at those numbers. Okay, so 8,893 damage. Caught on a flat-footed target. And we know what those enemies are capable of, and we know that they're shitty to fight. So again, feel really good about just taking them out of the running. Like, basically just get a chance to fight back. I guess it's the equivalent of like taking a load of drugs and like Fallout, equipping your best sniper rifle, and then just firing a massive shot, or maybe even just equipping like one of the nukes or something and blasting it at a behemoth or a deathclaw or something. You know, you're gonna do it from time to time. Just set up for this huge initiation, because you know what hell awaits you if you don't just blitz it. But yeah, felt good to do that. Nice 9,000 damage attack. So this guy I clipped not because it's a significant boss fight, but because the arena keeps saving me here, which I think is a bit of a design fault. Don't know how this got past the beta. So it's just because of this bloody rock thing on the floor. Like, you see how it protrudes? It just keeps catching a load of his attacks, because he throws his balls like underhand and then they just catch on the ground. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a way to dodge his attacks, but I don't think it was designed that way, and I think that's just a little bit of an oversight. So when I saw this guy land, I remember thinking to myself, well, if I had just come here first, I'd have had an opportunity to actually learn the Twin Blade guy's moveset, because this is clearly how you do. And it would have made it so much easier when I went down to fight those two at once. But sadly, I found that area first, and I didn't come here. You just never know which way you're supposed to go, and this just happens constantly to me. So by now, I'm already like not nearly as bothered about fighting this guy one-to-one. I'm actually, more interested in learning more of his kit, which is why I'm giving him the time of day to actually fight him one-on-one a bit here. But I noticed his moveset didn't seem to be quite so oppressive when I was close to him, and it is often like that for a lot of the mobs, I think. They are trying to punish you if you go too long range, so you don't just try and outrange them with every attack. I was surprised to see this guy come back. I was like, oh, second chance to fight you, okay, whatever. But, I was like, when's this actual health bar gonna come up? Like, is he a boss right now, or is he just a normal mob? And then I was thinking to myself, oh shit, is there actually just going to be like 30 of these things all the way up to the next boss room? But it was not the case. And by now my magic is sort of slacking, so he's not the same beast he was. I think once you're like sort of between 60 to 80 hours in, like his kit has just lost all of its scare. I mean, by now you haven't even faced any of the like real scary bosses. I suppose if you fought like Radahn with melee or something, you've probably become quite shit hot at dealing with all of the mechanics in the game. But to be honest, most of the bosses up until now, nothing really too hard. I wouldn't say anything I've fought up until now, I would say is even like top 5 hardest Souls bosses of all time. But some stuff is, you know, there's a few contenders in this game where it starts to feel that way. Especially for certain builds. Like, not every single build is... not every single build, I imagine, is going to have had the same struggles. Like, all of the Black Knight assassins, I just can't see them giving melee builds the same trouble they gave me. But likewise, you know, I can't imagine Radahn gave any other mage player that much trouble either, because it, you know, like I said, I only ever died to that when I was just messing about, getting too close, not giving his big black gravity orb boulder things the respect they needed. I just need to stay away and just blast from range. But I don't know how melee builds dealt with that. I imagine bringing lots of summons in, cheeky 1-2 hits and then running out maybe, I don't know. Maybe his attack patterns become easier to deal with when you're constantly under it. It seems to be the case for a lot of enemies. It's good to fight this ancient dragon again. I did feel like this unfinished business. Of course now obviously I've got way more power. Nearly getting killed there trying to showcase Renala's Full Moon. Renala's Full Moon, I think I expected it to replace my bubble spell, but it just sort of doesn't, because it leaves you really open to attack at the start. It's kind of like it, but the reason why the bubble is still good, like even into the late game, is because you could have like 3 of them charged on the way, and because it moves so slowly over, it hasn't even hit the enemy yet, so you're going to get loads of damage out. Renala's Full Moon starts to accelerate like the further it gets in, so you can't do that, which is a bit of a drawback, because I think it's supposed to be like the more upgraded version of it, so you know, it's kind of falls off there. But this is what I say about some abilities and some summons having more relevance in the start of the game rather than the end. Like the bubble, obviously, because it's not going to get any more power spikes. It's not going to have the same. It's not going to have the same like draw as what the other spells I'll get will, because there's going to be upscaled versions of spells going into the late game, like the channeling Azure spell, and you know, all of the straight comet spells. I mean, they always just get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they don't really change the way they work mechanically. So, you know, you will continue to use those, but this is something that you know, if there was just an identical version of that bubble spell moving into the late game, it would be S tier, like without a doubt.
At least you didn't like call AAA or something.
So I'm going to decrease the volume here because Luke won't shut up about RuneScape. So by now this is like, I'm thinking this is the end of the game. I really genuinely thought this was it. I thought this was like the second to last boss. Just looking at like the location. And of course it's funny that I think that, because later down the line obviously this is the location of the second to last boss. But I genuinely thought, just looking at the arena, that this was it. And I thought, you know, well, that's pretty poetic. You fight this guy earlier and now you're fighting him again, and he's empowered, and now he's revealing his like true form. You know? But it's a little bit like in Final Fantasy VII, you know, you get an early taste of Sephiroth and then you get a final taste of Sephiroth, you know. But yeah, good fight, reasonable. Wouldn't say it was too hard. Again, I think the crutch of being a magic user was kind of beneficial. Had to summon Bay Melina because, you know, otherwise I'd be maidenless. Can't have that. I was actually excited to see if she casted some of those like really rare spells, because apparently, according to some lore videos that I watched, um, she's got like some special tree magic in that doesn't get cast very often, and I was kind of hoping I'd get to see that. And of course we did, so, happy.